Welcome everyone to our Wisdom of the Heart series. Today we have a very interesting topic. We're going to be talking about new ways of envisioning the body and its service in the world. And so let me introduce our guest joining us for today from Delta, Colorado, Karen Floyd. Welcome, Karen.
Thanks, Lynn.
And it's an honor to have you with us again. Karen's been on a couple of more videos that we've done in the past. And so she's also a Reiki master. She does a lot of energy work. And then she's also the author of the book, Divine Droppings. And she may even give us a quote or something out of that book. Okay, Karen, so I'll go ahead and let you start us off with a couple lines from A Course of Love, and then we'll expand from there.
Yeah, let's start in the dialogues, the body and the elevation of form. Chapter or paragraph 22. Let us return now to the beginning and start with the body as a given. It is what it is in terms of flesh and bone, and it is also the form that is now serving to represent the truth of who you are. How might this change the laws of the body, the laws you gave the body in the time of learning, knowing not what the design of the body represented? What might the bodily design now represent? So in the time of learning, we have science telling us if this, then that, and by deducing and putting together, we've made up explanations for things. And now the art of thought, the time of miracles, transcending beliefs, looking at spiritual law, we're really learning who we are and what the body is. And so this is the change, right? Moving from the time of learning to the new. And so, yeah, what might the bodily design now represent now that we know more of who and what we are?
Let us go into that a little bit about what is it that the bodily design must now represent. Do you have some thoughts on that we can
I do.
Share?
You mentioned my experience as a Reiki master. I've worked with energy all of my life. Since I was a child, I could feel and sense energy, the vibratory patterns that show up for some in the form of color. The essence, I think, is closer to the elevated self of form than the physical body. That essence, that vibration, you know, the emanations you might feel around certain people or walking into a room if there's been an argument. And you can just feel the energy. So that component of energetic, we will call spiritual realm, more the essence and the closer to the truth of who and what we are. And so learning to identify with that essence, one can imagine if they think they're just a solid form and they were born and they're going to die. So there's a beginning and there's an end. There's a whole lot of justification for limitation and fear.
Great point. Yeah.
There. So if you have a body, but you're not the body, which is the change we're talking about.
Yes.
Like think of the body as a spacesuit. You're in space-time, so you need compute.
Yeah.
And that's this. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. It's quite beautiful to have a physical form, but the truth of the matter is it's a representation of that which dwells within it. As many people have had out-of-body experiences without details. I've had several, And one in particular, the first one that I recall as a young adult, I actually looked back at my body and I went, oh, oh, but I was still all that I am. Personality, thoughts, but I was very translucent. My body was in the bed like my car is in the parking lot. And it's my body, but it's not me. And that's when I got very clear that I was not a body. And if you haven't had that experience, you can still understand and begin to feel the essence of who you are without having an out-of-body experience. Most people in meditation do experience teleportation, where, you know, they're experiencing another dimension, but their body is in the chair, in the room, in their house. It's not a transformation, right? Because in fact, we've always been who we're realizing, who we are outside of time, but inside of time space, most of us forgot. And we began to believe, if you are over there and I am over here, we are not one. We believed what we saw with our eyes was separation, and that's understandable. But healing that, which of course a love goes a long way in doing, in healing that belief in separation and beginning to realize the essence of who we are, that vibratory wave, you know, that science is with quantum physics is proving now, you know, we are that, and that permeates every physical manifestation, and the physical manifestation radiates out from that vibration. So there's nothing wrong with the body. It's absolutely a beautiful creation, but we have not been, we've been more identified with the form than the essence.
Yeah, that sums it up right there. Just a couple of thoughts when you were speaking. Yeah, we're more identified with the form than the essence, or more identified with the form than the content. And yeah, a couple of things that were coming up is like you were saying, that this whole veil of separation, this belief, well, what was called the ego, you know, and of course in miracles, that whole belief in separation that forms this veil of illusion over everything, and everything is distorted, and it's seen, everything is seen as separate than we. I mean, it's like an other here and an other there, and then that's the particle view. What quantum physics is getting away from is that Newtonian view where you just seeing the particles, you're not seeing the whole feel or the wholeness of it all. And so yeah, and so I think the Course of Love is moving us into that next step where we're no longer seeing in separation, and where it says, you know, in A Course in Miracles, that when it says that heaven and earth will be no more, what that really means is that they will no longer exist as separate states. So the other thing, the other phrase that came to mind for me is also sort of living in the world, but not of it. So it's almost like we're in this illusory, finite notion of space-time. But I think this new way of discovery with the elevated self, capital S of form, is actually we're living the truth of who we are. So we're bringing the God or the love or the unity through the form. It's like an expression or representation, and I'm becoming that open vessel for love, for kindness, for compassion to flow and extend through me. And that's it. It's that giving and receiving, love extending as itself, or as A Course in Miracles says, it's a frame of holiness through which the Christ can be seen, the love can be seen.
You know, I think of the Jedis in those movies, you know, the Jedi Knights, Star Wars, I guess I'm thinking of. I'm not a Star Wars person, but, you know, how those characters portrayed the truth of who they were when the dark side would come.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much in those movies that talks about what we're talking about, that when you remember who you are not subject to man's laws. You can become invisible. You can, that sounds sci-fi, but I have had people not even see me and walk right into me and not even say, excuse me, because they didn't even feel me.
Uh-huh.
Because they're on a different vibratory pattern. So, like, that's how dimensions are different. They're different vibrations, just like your thought patterns, different levels of thought, different identification levels have you vibrating at different frequencies. Power versus Force is a good book that talks about the higher up the emotional chain you go, the higher the vibration. Like anger is higher than depression. Happiness is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Way up here, joy, way up here. So we've been living from belief. What we're being invited to do is to drop living in separation, which is if this, then that,
Mm-hmm.
which is beliefs, to just beingness, to being all that we are while we're in physical form, which would have us live as Jedis. It would have us live not just subject to limiting thoughts or ideas. And we would call them at this point miracles. But in truth, in the spiritual world, it's just the way things really are, with the veil of illusion that you called it lifted. How we live differently is not to take information in from out here and adjust accordingly, which is how most of us survived. What's going on? What can I do? What can I do? What's needed? Taking our cues from out here to connecting with the truth in here and expressing that. And in doing that, we are radiating. We are emanating the truth of who and what we are, and therefore raising the vibration in our field of influence, which is usually 3 feet around the body or further, especially if intention directs it further. And then all those within our field of influence can either absorb that or not. And this replaces evangelization. By being who and what we are in the moment, we are bringing that vibration into and through form, transforming the physical. We will transform this by doing that. We will transform anything receptive to it out here, and anything not receptive to it will dissipate. It's like turning the light on in a dark room.
Yeah.
And therefore, we don't need to manage or control our environment. We just need to connect with who we really are and let that shine forth. That's what that's about. Don't hide your light under a basket.
Yeah.
Be who and what you are. And we're remembering. We're not learning. We're remembering. We're waking up. The veil is being lifted as we surrender to truth and let go of holding on to fear. And we're stepping into all the unlimited expressions that love is, because we aren't bringing love, we are love.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, I love that. And it's so practical too, because it's what I'm getting to is that love is, like you said, we're not bringing it, we are it, and we're just allowing it to flow and be expressed through us, as I want to say, the open vessel. And to me, it also speaks of being fully present in this moment, because that to me takes me out of the thinking mind with those old patterns, the thoughts that veil everything with the image making. And when I'm fully present in this moment, and sort of like the wholeheartedness, the mind and heart join, whereas you were saying the Heart Math Institute actually has scientific research on this, where this is a frequency that's emitted. And that energetic field goes out, I think it's like 4 feet or something. You said 3 or 4 feet or something. And that field radiates out to everyone. And I think that's, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's doing that constantly, no matter what you're radiating. So it's not like you turn on your radiation. If you're having a bad day and you're in fear, that's your 3 feet of influence. And that's also magnetized. So you're going to attract what you're putting out. So it's always radiating. But what are you identified with? Because that's from where it comes. If you're coming from a limited idea and a fear-based image, or an unworthy image, or a separated image, you'll radiate that too, but the vibration will be very dense. And the higher you go, in the closer you get to understanding and allowing and surrendering to the truth of who and what you are, the higher your vibration goes.
So if I'm coming from that place of love within me, the true self, capital S, that's what is radiated out. I think that's what you're saying. Like, where am I coming from? Who am I showing up in this experience, in this moment? And from what am I coming from? The true self, or, you know, the self, a separation that sees itself all alone and, you know, separate from everything and everyone. What I've experienced is that what I'm holding in my mind and heart is what I seem to see or experience, because as the Course of Love says, as within, so without. And I believe even A Course in Miracles speaks to this. The world is an outward picture of an inward condition. And so when I think it's what it's saying is like the cause, you know, what I'm holding as cause. Like if I'm coming from love, then that's what the effect will be. So it's not really about fixing the what is it, Marianne says, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's not about fixing the outside. It's more about myself and coming from within the true self, which is love. Go ahead.
And arranging the deck chairs on the Titanic could also be seen as having better thoughts, but it is a progression toward identifying with more of the truth of who you are. So if you need to start with having better thoughts, start there. Accept where you are is the only way to relax into being more of who you are. So accept the feelings, accept the thoughts, and reach for something truer. That would be something higher, synonymous with higher vibration, a clearer vibration. So it's an undressing process. We're taking off what is not true. And as we think higher thoughts, we have the experience of that higher vibration, and then we recognize it. And as we recognize it, when I work on people, what I'm doing is I'm aligning with the truth of who and what we are. And I'm feeding that energy in. And that energy gets recognized by those cells in the other person. And they go, oh, well, thanks for giving me a jump start. I'm not changing them. I am emitting a true vibration, and that person's cells recognize the true blueprint. Elevate. And healing occurs because all healing is a correction imbalance. Imbalance is where all disease comes from. Because this misalignment is what blocks it. And our fear is what keeps that misalignment in place. And so when you go to receive healing and you open to it, which is the client's part in the healing, they have to open, they have to be receptive, they have to want, they have to have faith. Your faith has healed you. Jesus said to the woman who touched the hem of his garment, your faith has set you free. So we're still at that level talking about belief. So belief can get us there, but where we're going to is not a higher belief system.
Yeah.
It's living the true reality in the physical time and space world. So we're manifesting inside of time and space what is outside of time and space. And I always equated that with heaven on earth.
All healing is release from fear. And I think that's Course in Miracles. And also to heal is to make whole. Yeah. And so that's beautiful. And yeah, something else I was going to mention that, you know, I picked up this later on in the Course of Love about awareness, acceptance, and discovery. And it said, you know, speaking to this elevated, quote, self of form, you know, bringing the indwelling Christ into form and allowing that to radiate out. The awareness is that of unity, and the acceptance is that we're always connected to that true self, to God, to love, to unity. And then the discovery is, let's discover it and make and express that as a giving and receiving as one. And so, yeah, I was going to show, this is my picture of the great rays.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, of, you know, the great rays that the Course in Miracles talks about. So anyway, yeah, go ahead, because we're coming up on our time. And did you want to, yeah, go ahead and share. And then you had a quote that you wanted to share from your book too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. In Divine Droppings, one of my quotes is, spirit defies logic.
Oh, I
and
love
that's
that.
what I'm talking about. There, you know, man's law is not greater than God's law. And there is spiritual law. And there is one truth. I am.
Beautiful. I am. That's it. Yeah.
But I just want to encourage everyone to just spend time being and accepting whatever it is, wherever you are, knowing that, you know, if you keep striving and trying to be somewhere you're not, as if you're somewhere you're not, when you're already there, you'll never get there. So, sounds like a cone. Spending time just centering and being and breathing, and for me, being in nature and connecting with all of life, knowing that a leaf, a tree, a blade of grass, a bird flying by, that same essence is what and who I am. And just feeling that, feeling yourself flying through the air as a bird, feeling yourself as a tree blowing in the wind. Those are all what Avatar would call feel-its. And those are wonderful ways to expand your consciousness and to identify with the essence. And the essence is who and what we are, living inside a physical form, which is beautiful and perfect, but not who we are.
Yeah, it's not the truth of who we are.
It's what we use.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it for today. Maybe we can pick this up in another dialogue. So thank you so much for joining us, Karen, and thank you for all our viewers out there. And next time we'll have another topic and another guest.